Alright, it's recording. Just want to say we've come back from the Greenwich O2. We went to Cine World. We just saw the magnificent movie that is called Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. We got the DBOX experience. If you guys don't know what DBOX is, it's this functionality where you sit on the chair, it rocks, it vibrates, it's really cool. It adds another layer of immersion, of a whole new experience. And as you can see on the video, we're kind of in total darkness because there isn't a lot of light in here. But guys, I wanted to get the opinions of my buddies. So quickly introduce yourself, guys, before we give our quick review on Interstellar.
Alright, I'm John.
I'm Simon.
Alright.
Amadi.
As I said, you probably can't see shit. And I'm here, and I'm the only one that's kind of in the light. But you know what? We had a good time. I want to do this more often. Still in hiatus mode. No goddamn complaints. It's all about the opinions, not the picture people. So, without further ado, people, what did you think of Interstellar? Actually, Simon, give us a synopsis. What is Interstellar? A real quick one for those who don't know.
Alright, for those of you who want to check out Interstellar.
And you can't see his face, so he's a white guy.
Yeah, so I'm the white guy next to the pot of rice and the two floating eyes and teeth. Yep, that's me. So basically, for anybody who wants to check out Interstellar, I just want to make this disclaimer. If you think from the trailers that this is a 2001 Space Odyssey type, quiet, artistic, slow-moving movie where it's Matthew McConaughey of the emptiness of space and quietness and darkness, and it's just him exploring and walking around, well, it actually is completely the opposite. This movie introduces a new element of threat or urgency in almost every scene. So the 3 hours or 2 hours and 40-minute runtime, you don't feel any of it. The pacing just flies by because even if you hate or love the movie, there's always something that's a threat. There's always a problem that needs to be resolved, and you feel every second of it. You completely feel how these characters are sometimes completely powerless against the situation, and that you really feel the weight and consequence that everything they're doing has immense consequences throughout the whole story and the mission and the inevitable outcome.
Okay, you didn't exactly say what the synopsis was, but that was good then.
You know, we're just getting started. You know, people are dumb. They need my guidance first. You know, so short synopsis.
Very short, very short.
Very short synopsis.
You know the YouTube
Shit in
lifespan.
space, that's what it is.
It's basically like, what is it? It's not.
You
like,
don't want to go to space. That's what it is.
you don't want to go to save the human race. You don't want to do
If you're that one asshole after Gravity who was like, this still looks like fun. This is the movie for you. Okay? Okay, so basically, in the near future, humanity has exhausted its resources. There's nothing to eat, and people, the general consensus that everything has to be shut down, including research from NASA, so the government can pump all the money into agriculture and supplying people with food. Matthew McConaughey is this good old country-ass American who used to be a pilot, but now has to retire and live with his family. Up until one day, a twist of fate enables him to get back into the seat in this mission that has the hopeful prospect of saving the human race by finding a new planet to inhabit. And we need him as the pilot on this mission, and the sacrifice he needs to make that obviously with traveling into space is going to take a hell of a lot of time, and he will have to give up on his kids.
Yep, so Matthew McConaughey is just going to be a space hero saving the Earth, in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
Given to us by the guy who made the Dark Knight trilogy, who can do no wrong, apparently. But maybe we don't.
Dark Knight Rises. But, you know, I like that movie.
So this movie is an absolute masterpiece, right? Guy, it's absolutely perfect, correct?
Well,
It's a
Nothing's
really good movie. Every movie has its problems.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own opinion, obviously. My
Still can't see
personal
his face,
opinion.
but yeah.
My personal opinion. The beginning's a little bit too slow. But
Yeah.
other than that, I think the movie's ace, really.
Yeah.
Can't really fault anything else as such.
You
I
guys
enjoyed
agree
it.
with that?
well,
Yeah.
The pacing was slow in the beginning, or you guys thought the pacing was...
I thought the beginning that takes place on Earth, I think was very important to establish the family, because what I really liked about that Christopher Nolan stepped a notch up in terms of exposition. In Inception, common criticism was almost every piece of dialogue between Leo and Joseph Gordon-Levitt was exposition about what's actually going on. In this movie, there are a lot of times where Matthew McConaughey and his kids could just talk about their family background, so we get to know more the circumstances on Earth. But instead, usually the scenes just pan out naturally, and as an audience member, if you don't completely understand what's going on, the follow-up scene usually explains it when there's a resolution. But the dialogue between the characters is actually genuine, and you do really feel for the family, which later on becomes really important because one of the main ideas behind the film is to explore the concept of space travel from the aspect of time.
Yeah.
Space travel takes a long time, so Matthew McConaughey's character has to constantly face the dilemma that every hour he spends, light years away from Earth is actually much longer on the planet. So every time he spends on this mission, he's missing out of the life that he would have on Earth with his kids, and his kids are getting older, growing into adults, while he's still stuck in outer space.
What was interesting in it for me, especially that really actually caught me, it kind of almost reminded me a little bit of the Alien movies with Ripley.
Oh, definitely. Especially the first Alien in terms of
especially the first Alien. When she realises that she's basically missed out on the whole, childhood of her child's life, like by being in space. So that was quite
deleted scenes extra.
That was quite poignant for me, and you could see that the McConaughey character, he felt really awful.
One thing I want to put to you guys is, you guys went in cold. Yeah. I already knew about the consensus. The general consensus for this movie is, let's say 75% of it's good, but the last quarter just falls off and there's a lot of kumbaya, blah, blah, blah. People were not happy with the ending generally. What do you guys think? Do you agree with that, or were you happy with that overall?
I'd personally say I can understand why people wouldn't like the ending, but you've got to just take it for what it is. It's a movie. You've got to take it for what it is. It's not real life. It's just part of the movie. Just go with it.
So you felt you could go with it.
I thought I could go with it.
Yeah.
Personally, there is the kumbaya. I understand completely what you mean with the kumbaya. A lot of people wouldn't be happy with that movie. There's a certain section of that movie, like you said, a certain section of that movie got to that point, that 75%. We knew when it hit that 75%, because as soon as it hit that 75% in that movie, 3 people in the audience got up, then they left. They got up and they left. They didn't like what they were saying, so they got up and they left.
I think they were English, but that's just my problem. Probably they were like, if they were British astronauts,
The thing is for me is, like what my brother said, the thing is for me is that I maybe would have had that attitude if the film had been designed in a different type of way, had established itself in a different type of way from the beginning. But for me, obviously, it's the dilemma between him picking between his children and saving the world, so to speak. But for me, it was always about the relationship between him and his daughter. Yeah. So therefore, the fact that it ends the way that it ends is correct for me, because it's about, for me, it's about him and the relationship that he has with his daughter, not even his son so much. It's definitely for me his daughter.
That's it.
Sorry, but it is.
Johnny Boy, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean that the point that everyone's going to talk about is that switch, that point, that 75% point.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my view on it is that, okay, the film is very intelligent.
Yeah. And
there's like quite high concept and quite difficult things. So when it comes to that part, which requires, quite abstract thinking, unfortunately some people can't. And
It's true.
Some people will not understand this movie.
This movie is an IQ test.
Do you know what? Honestly, I disagree, John. I think it came together fine. I do agree personally that there was times I felt things were just at the end just maybe a little bit convenient, but the way it wrapped up at the end, it came together in a way that was acceptable. The ending was good, and I think the whole package on the whole worked because the characters meant something to me. I actually gave a shit about the situation. They had very good characterization. The visuals kept me going on, and I just want to say, even though you guys can't see me behind the camera, the film is 3 fucking hours. The thing I was worried about the most about the movie is that's going to be too goddamn long. I sat down in the movie and I enjoyed every minute of it. It was done well. It's kind of advertised as this slow-paced, well-directed, beautiful, 2014, 2001 Space Odyssey remake or something like that. It really isn't nothing like that. It has got a story. It is compelling. There are 1 or 2 unexpected thriller moments that kind of, I don't know, it didn't sit 100% well with me. But you know what? I think the film works well on the whole package.
Yeah.
And, you know, most people are enjoying the movie. The whole 25% ending, to be honest with you, it didn't bring the movie down enough for me to say it wasn't a good movie.
No, I don't think so.
The thing is, the way I see it is, if you're paying to see a movie, you might as well sit down and watch it all the way through. Those who got up and left at the 75% mark, it's their loss. They didn't see the ending.
You're always going to get people that are like that, though.
They can't really complain. Okay, they may not have liked it, but they should have at least sat down and watched the rest of it.
For me, it's, I mean, just my personal opinion, but like I said before, for me, it's very much about him and his daughter.
Yeah.
And it's relevant that what happens, I'm being very careful here, well, what I say, what happens in the movie, and that, you know, she gives him his blessing, so to speak. Like, things are sorted out by the end, so to speak. You know what I mean? I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And it's also relevant, you know, you see the sort of the stages of their relationship. And obviously, you bounce back between what's happening to him in space and what's happening to her on Earth as well, which I thought was quite interesting. And even the relationship that she has with her brother. I always felt like the relationship that the brother and sister had was, I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of like sibling rivalry, jealousy there.
It wasn't rivalry, it was played out. She's the favoured child.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the fact that she's the favoured child.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. There is a certain point of the movie where you go, where is he?
Yeah, it's true.
There gets to parts in the movie where you go, where the hell is he?
He is a minor character.
Like, he's the son, but where is he, sort of thing. Like,
yeah, but
there she
again,
is, where
you
is
can
he?
only take so much of Casey Affleck, so it's like I was glad. I'm like, get a motherfucker off my iMac.
I actually thought that was good casting, though, like in terms of obviously because there's
as the
time
supporting
skip.
child, yes.
I thought it was good casting because sometimes it can be hard to mirror young children with older, but you could see like there was no question.
You know the daughter?
Yeah.
I thought she looked like a young Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And so you could have switched at like.
Some people have made that.
switched
Some
that,
people have
you
said
know,
that
it's
actually.
like,
They thought that there was something to that as well.
Oh, like a time.
But you know the funny thing about Christopher Nolan movies, sometimes they do leave something to be thought afterwards, so people might draw their own little
Oh shit! Yeah.
conspiracies or whatever.
No, I'm thinking of something else. No.
But you guys enjoyed the movie because we kind of wrapped up. So I do want to just quickly jump around. You guys said you liked the casting was good, visuals.
Yeah.
Great visuals.
Stuff you haven't never seen before.
It was, and the emotion shared, displayed by the characters.
Yeah.
It's not just the love story. It's not just the relationship between him and his daughter. It's the dark side of humanity as well. The logical side. It explores all of them.
I mean, there's a whole theme about survival, but then throughout the film, it raised questions about survival, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Is it really a point of surviving? Do you really want to survive that long if you lose your whole humanity in the process?
Yeah.
That's the question you've got to ask.
Okay, so you guys are satisfied with the film on the whole. Would you recommend this movie for people to watch?
I would.
I definitely would.
I would.
Actually,
in the right conditions.
Yes. Yeah.
and that is kind of my little gripe with it as well. I think it works better as a cinema experience. Even without D-Box, I think it serves better as a cinematic experience. If you have a 50, 60-inch screen, you got the good sound system and all that, I think you're going to get the best out of this movie. But I don't know if I'd watch this movie again without the right surroundings or without the right environment.
I think it's kind of like Gravity in that sense.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
Godzilla.
watching Gravity. I didn't see Godzilla. I can't imagine watching Gravity on our screen here. Because you don't get that sense of being sort of claustrophobic in space with Gravity, for example. And here, I don't think you get the full scope unless you're watching it on a cinema screen. But that's just me personally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but what I really enjoyed about this movie is that there are very small, subtle elements that elevate this movie beyond what you generally expect. It's shot on film. It only uses IMAX, not 3D. To me, one of the most impressive things about a movie, how it's seamless for such a sci-fi heavy film, seamlessly blends all the special effects together. So the practical effects and the CGI blend together perfectly. Usually in a movie, there's something distracting you from the experience because you can tell it's CGI or they did this in post. Here, you can never tell, you know, what's done in post-production and what's done in main, what's real and what's fake. They have a an android robot type
that's so
character,
That's awesome.
where the design is completely original,
Yeah.
and for the 95% of the time is done completely practical, and they do an amazing job with it. And that kind of subtle approach applies to every aspect of the film. There are very subtle hints at certain things. There's a character called Man, who's kind of like a representation of humanity with all its strengths and flaws. There's also some subtle hints in terms of I forgot what I want.
Don't worry, don't worry about it. I'm gonna cut you off anyway because we're running out of time. But don't worry, we're gonna have some for more reviews. What?
Yeah, I said what I wanted to say. The movie has a very subtle, elegant approach to everything, and even with the score, Hans Zimmer is a very overused composer these days, mostly because of his collaboration with Christopher Nolan. But it shows why they work together so well in this movie, because they introduced a new element for him, which is the organ, that I haven't heard him use for a movie in years.
Damn, this guy's a film connoisseur, isn't he?
Man, it really makes the movie stand out. Unlike previous films where, like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and 12 Years a Slave, where he kind of just phoned it in, and it's kind of a very familiar Hans Zimmer score. And this one, it was completely original, and just very subtle. They also play on the audience's paranoia. Even so, as with movie trivia, like we mentioned 2001 Space Odyssey, and there you have the robot character betraying the crew. So that always lingers in your mind throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, that was implied.
And they very subtly hint at it, but it's more like what James Cameron did in Aliens, where if you saw Alien, you know that a certain character betrayed the crew. And that paranoia lingers throughout the whole movie. It does, yeah. And here, they do something very similar, but you can clearly tell the difference between the directing styles of Christopher Nolan and Steven Spielberg. You can tell which aspects of the scripts were reminiscent of what Spielberg would have done if he actually directed this movie, and what Christopher Nolan turned it into. And I think that kind of elements helped levitate that 75% of the movie to higher expectation, where when you had to suspend your disbelief even further for the last 15, all people tuned out. But I'm like, my opinion is, if you're gonna make such a sci-fi movie where no matter how much it's based on real science and the theory of, Einstein's theory of relativity that we're all familiar with, but none of us are nuclear physicists, none of us actually went to space, and humanity didn't do 85% of this movie. So if you're gonna believe everything leading up to that point, and then you're not gonna buy it, that doesn't work. You either call bullshit earlier and say, well, who knows, we can go that far in space, or you just don't buy the whole movie at all. And the way we saw with similar sci-fi movies like The Space Odyssey, like Blade Runner, that were panned when they came out, and now are considered cult classics, I'll guarantee you, people hate Descending. 10 years from now, this is going to be the greatest movie of 2014.
Definitely.
All right, I'm going to cut it there.